Thank you, Mr. Chairman, also for holding this hearing. And I just really want to thank all of you for taking the time to testify. It's really a tragedy that you have to be here today. I really want to commend you for being here today. You shouldn't have to be here. No citizen should have to be here defending their constitutional rights. And obviously you've shared the stories about how your rights have been violated. And so I just think you're brave. I mean, you're brave for being here. Listening to the emotion in your testimony is very real, not just because you're nervous about testing in front of a congressional committee, I imagine, but probably in the back of your mind, you probably can't help but be a little bit angry or even fearful about sticking your neck out a little bit more and being a target, having a larger target on your back potentially. And this is not a mistake by the IRS, as some have mentioned today. This is not poor customer service, as the Acting Commissioner Miller testified just a few weeks ago. This abuse was systemic, and it's been going on for years. And we know it's systemic because of the number of groups that were targeted. We know it's systemic because of the number of individuals that are in IRS workers that have been named as a part of your testimony that we will also be able to further interview and get information from. And the larger question now is, who helped direct this activity? And Lois Lerner is obviously refusing to even answer questions. Mr. Kukoji, if I could just ask... Kukoji, if I could apologize. If I could just ask you a question, because you did testify that back in December of 2011, you had made numerous and repeated calls to the IRS, which went unreturned. And then finally you did reach an agent. I think you said it was Ron Bell.
Yes.
You reached that agent in Cincinnati, and you inquired him about why the application was taking so long, and he said he had been waiting on guidance from his superiors. Can you just comment? I mean, who do you think his superiors would have been? You mentioned it wasn't someone just down the hall. That's sort of the feeling you got.
Yes, although he didn't indicate exactly where it was. And I believe, am I correct, that these IRS calls are recorded? So we could probably find out if he did indeed specify. At least that's what I remember. Every time I called the IRS, it says these calls may be recorded. So I think my conversation with Mr. Bell may indeed be recorded. But what I remember him saying was, we've been waiting on guidance from our superiors as to your organization and similar organizations. He did not say where it was from, but it was clearly implicit that it wasn't down the hall, whether it was from Washington, some other office. He had been waiting a long time. It wasn't just putting me on hold and going to talk to someone else.
And Ms. Martinek, I believe you also made some comment about conversations with IRS workers who were working with some of their superiors as well?
That is correct. Ms. Richards did tell me on at least 2 different occasions that she would have to put me on hold and she would check with her superior or superiors to answer the question that I was asking her.
Well, your testimony is going to help us get down to the facts so we can actually figure out who was directing this, this targeting. Ms. Belsom, I was going to ask you a question because we did hear from the Inspector General as a part of the audit. In March of 2010, that is apparently when the targeting actually started and went forward. But we were told by the Acting Commissioner Miller that all of that targeting activity stopped in June of 2012. Have you continued to receive any correspondence from the IRS regarding the status of your application since June 2012?
Yes. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I didn't get the letter. I mean, I heard nothing basically until September of 2012 was when we got the letter with the whole list of questions. So
after June of 2012,
yes.
You've continued to receive information from the IRS regarding the status.
Right.
Well, Mr. Chairman, the other issue I think that we'll continue to have questions about is the whole concept of donors, because we've just scratched the surface. I think Dr. Eastman has testified, but I had a conversation with a donor in my state who has been a contributor to certain political causes and has been fearful of stepping out and voicing his concern about some of these activities, but now he's being more emboldened. And I'm thinking we're going to hear from some more donors down the road, Mr. Chairman, as this investigation continues, and I yield back.
Mr. Pascrell.
Thank you.